one of the most talented receivers to ever play in the NFL.
Goes for the big ball to Moss. He reels it in with one hand.
So well known for his physical dominance, they created a verb for him.
Coined the term, you just got mossed. This is big time.
Randy Moss is known for his deep routes and contested catches.
If it's a jump ball, it's almost impossible to defend it.
The Hall of Famer struck fear into NFL defenses for 14 seasons, but his football journey was almost cut short from his off-the-field behavior, so we need to start at the beginning. Randy Gene Moss was born on February 13, 1977 in Rand, West Virginia. Growing up in a small community, Moss's early years were shaped by a combination of humble beginnings, family support, and extraordinary athletic talent. From the very start, his path was marked by brilliance on the field and challenges off it, foreshadowing the complex journey that would define his life. Moss is the son of Randy Pratt and Maxine Moss. His father, a coal miner, was largely absent during his childhood, leaving Maxine to raise Randy and his siblings. Despite the difficulties, Maxine provided a stable and supportive home, instilling in her children a strong sense of determination and resilience. She recognized her son's exceptional athletic abilities early on and encouraged him to pursue his dreams, even as the obstacles around him seemed insurmountable. From a young age, Moss displayed an almost otherworldly athleticism. In Rand, where opportunities were scarce and the future often uncertain, sports became a passion and an escape. Whether it was football, basketball, baseball, or track, Moss's natural gifts stood out in every arena, where his athletic prowess became the stuff of legend. On the football field, he was a dominant force, playing wide receiver, defensive back, and even returning kicks. As a junior, he caught 28 passes for 870 yards and 14 touchdowns, leading DuPont to the state championship game. By his senior year, Moss had taken his game to an entirely different level. He scored 27 touchdowns across multiple positions, including 4 receiving, 6 rushing, 4 on kick returns, and 3 on interceptions. His efforts helped DuPont secure another state championship. Football wasn't Moss's only outlet. On the basketball court, he was equally dominant, leading DuPont to back-to-back state championships. His ability to soar around defenders and control games earned him comparisons to NBA legends, and he was named West Virginia's Player of the Year twice. Moss's talents extended to the baseball diamond, where he excelled as a pitcher and center fielder, and to the track, where he won state titles in the 100 and 200 meter sprints. By the time he graduated, Randy Moss had become one of the most celebrated multi-sports athletes in the country. Off the field, Moss's life was not without its challenges. Rand, like many small towns in Appalachia, was plagued by poverty and racial tension. In 1995, during his senior year of high school, Moss was involved in a racially charged altercation. A fight broke out after a heated argument with a white classmate, and Moss, along with several others, were charged with battery. Although he pled guilty and received probation along with a 30-day suspended jail sentence, the incident had far-reaching consequences. The University of Notre Dame, where Moss had already committed to play football, rescinded its scholarship. This was the first significant setback in what had been an otherwise meteoric rise. Despite the fallout, Moss remained undeterred. He enrolled at Florida State University, where legendary coach Bobby Bowden agreed to take him on. Bowden famously referred to Moss as a touchdown waiting to happen, but Moss's time at Florida State was short-lived. He violated the terms of his probation after testing positive for marijuana and was dismissed from the team, along with being required to serve an additional 60 days in jail for violating his probation. Once again, Moss faced the harsh reality of how off-field decisions could jeopardize his future. After the setbacks at Notre Dame and Florida State, Moss arrived at Marshall University in 1996, determined to prove himself on the football field. The decision to transfer to Marshall, a Division I AA program at the time, provided him with an opportunity to showcase his immense talent while staying close to home. This transfer marked a turning point in his life and career, but it also served as a reminder of the challenges he had to overcome to reach his goals. It was clear that Randy was destined for something extraordinary, even if the path was far from straightforward. Moss had an immediate impact during his first season at Marshall. The Thundering Herd, led by coach Bobby Pruitt and quarterback Eric Kresser, a transfer from the University of Florida, featured a high-powered offense that perfectly suited Moss's skill set.
Moss sprinting for the end zone. Got his bag. And he's got it. One for the record books, Randy Moss.
In his very first collegiate game, Moss caught 2 touchdown passes, setting the tone for what would be an unforgettable season. Throughout 1996, Moss torched opposing defenses with his unmatched combination of speed, size, and leaping ability. He finished the season with 78 receptions for 1,709 yards and 28 touchdowns, setting an NCAA record for touchdown receptions in a single season. Moss's dominance led Marshall to a perfect 15-0 record in the Division I AA National Championship, capped off by a 49-29 victory over Montana in the title game. Moss caught 4 passes for 114 yards and a touchdown in the contest, solidifying his reputation as the best player in 1AA football. His accolades in 1996 included being named to consensus first-team All-American and winning the Walter Payne Award, given to the top player in Division I AA. Moss' debut season not only demonstrated his incredible talent, but also hinted at the potential he could unleash on the larger scale. In 1997, Marshall transitioned to D1A and joined the Mid-Atlantic Conference. Expectations were high, but Moss rose to the challenge, proving that his dominance wasn't limited to a smaller division. Teamed with quarterback Chad Pennington, who would go on to also have a successful NFL career, Moss helped Marshall establish itself as a competitive force in its new tier of college football.
Screen to Moss, and he's got some room. Look out, and moves. Look out. Randy Moss. Wow!
Moss delivered one jaw-dropping performance after another, finishing the season with 96 receptions for 1,820 yards and 26 touchdowns, a single-season record for touchdowns at the time. His ability to stretch the field, make acrobatic catches, and turn routine plays into highlights made him a nightmare for defensive coordinators and a sensation for fans. He set multiple records that year, including an NCAA record for consecutive games with touchdown receptions and the most touchdown receptions in a 2-year span. Marshall finished the 1997 season with a 10-3 record, including a berth in the Motor City Bowl, their first bowl game appearance as a D1A program. Although they would fall short to Ole Miss 34-31, Moss was spectacular, catching 6 passes for 173 yards and a touchdown.
Downfield, has him at the 40-yard line, 35, 30, 20, and Randy Moss will score.
His performance against SEC competition silenced any remaining doubts about his ability to compete at the highest level of college football. Moss had firmly established himself as one of the greatest players in college football history. He finished his career with 174 receptions for 3,529 yards and 54 touchdowns, records that still stand at Marshall and rank among the best in NCAA history. He was a 2-time All-American and a finalist for the 1997 Heisman Trophy, with other future NFL legends Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson, and Ryan Leaf. Moss would end up finishing 4th in the voting, an impressive feat for a player from a smaller program. He would also receive the Biletnikoff Award in 1997, given annually to the nation's top wide receiver. At the end of the 1997 college football season, Moss would elect to forego the rest of his college eligibility and declared for the NFL draft. As the 1998 NFL draft approached, he stood as one of the most electrifying prospects in college football. His exceptional performance at Marshall had scouts anticipating his transition to the professional stage. However, Moss's journey to the NFL was marked by a series of evaluations, concerns, and pivotal moments that would ultimately shape his career. His athletic talents were undeniable. However, he would elect not to attend the NFL Combine and opted for a pro day at Marshall. Despite frigid 25-degree conditions, he delivered a performance that left scouts in awe. One scout hand-timed Moss's 40-yard dash in the low 4.3 second range, with some reports clocking him as fast as 4.25. His vertical jump was astonishing 47 inches, ranking him on the highest ever recorded for NFL draft prospects. Despite his on-field brilliance, Moss's past raised red flags for many NFL teams. The incidents from his high school years cast a shadow over his draft stock. These character concerns caused several teams to hesitate despite his undeniable talent. On April 18, 1998, the NFL draft commenced with Moss projected as a potential top 5 pick. One team that seemed destined to draft Randy Moss was the Dallas Cowboys. Throughout the pre-draft process, he expressed his excitement about potentially joining the franchise he grew up admiring. Moss was so confident in Dallas's interest that he openly stated he wanted to wear the star on his helmet. The Dallas coaching staff and owner Jerry Jones had been vocal about their admiration of Moss's talent. Jerry Jones reportedly envisioned him as the centerpiece of their offense for years to come. However, as the Cowboys made their selection with the 8th overall pick, Moss remained on the board. He would slip out of the top 10 and patiently waited for any team to take a chance on him in the draft. With the 16th pick, the first wide receiver was taken, but it wasn't Moss. The Tennessee Oilers selected Kevin Dyson, who played in the NFL for only 6 seasons. Finally, an unlikely team, the Minnesota Vikings, holding the 21st overall pick, saw an opportunity. Recognizing Moss's unparalleled talent and potential impact, they decided to take a chance.
The wide receiver from Marshall University, Randy Moss.
Their decision was influenced by thorough evaluation and a belief in their organizational structure to support Moss's development. Selecting Moss at 21 was considered a steal given his talent. The Vikings' decision would soon pay dividends, as Moss's rookie season became one of the most memorable in NFL history. Alongside veteran quarterback Randall Cunningham and established receiver Chris Carter and Jake Reed, Moss thrived in Minnesota's high-octane offense. With his speed and ability to leap over any defender, Moss practically caught anything thrown his way. He would finish the season with 69 receptions, 1,313 yards, and a league-leading 17 touchdown receptions, setting an NFL record for touchdowns. His electrifying play was instrumental in the Vikings' record-setting 15-1 regular season, during which they scored 556 points, the most in NFL history at the time. Moss was named the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year and earned his first Pro Bowl selection. One of the most iconic performances of this season came on Thanksgiving Day against the Dallas Cowboys, the team that had passed on him in the draft. In front of a national audience, Moss caught 3 passes, all for touchdowns, and totaled 163 receiving yards in a 46-36 victory. It was a statement game that left Jerry Jones and the Cowboys with a painful reminder of what could have been. Reflecting on the game, Moss later said, "I took it personal. The Cowboys are America's team and they had a chance to get me. I wanted to make them regret it." With the 15-1 record, the Vikings secured the number 1 seed in the playoffs. After defeating the Arizona Cardinals 41-21, they advanced to the NFC Championship game to play the Atlanta Falcons. In the game, Moss would catch 6 passes for 75 yards and a touchdown, but it wasn't enough for the Vikings. Vikings kicker Gary Anderson missed his first field goal in 2 years, which allowed Atlanta to tie the game 27-27 and send it to overtime. In heartbreaking fashion, the Vikings lost in overtime, sending the Falcons to Super Bowl 33. Despite the soul-crushing end of the season, Moss's rookie campaign cemented his place as one of the most exciting players in the league. Following his record-breaking rookie campaign, Moss entered the 1999 season with even higher expectations. With Randall Cunningham stepping aside for Jeff George at quarterback mid-season, Moss continued to dominate as the focal point of the Vikings offense. He would finish the season with 80 receptions for 1,413 yards and 11 touchdowns, earning his second consecutive Pro Bowl nod. In the postseason, Moss signed in a wildcard victory over the Dallas Cowboys. He caught 5 passes for 127 yards and a touchdown, once again torching the team that he felt disrespected by. However, the Vikings playoff run ended the following week with a loss to the St. Louis Rams. The 2000 season saw the Vikings usher in a new era with Dante Culpepper at quarterback. The chemistry between Culpepper and Moss was immediate, forming one of the most dangerous quarterback-wide receiver tandems in the league. Moss thrived in the revamped offense, finishing the season with 7 receptions for 1,437 yards and 15 touchdowns. He was once again named to the Pro Bowl for the 3rd consecutive year, and his dominance was once again on full display in Week 12 against the Dallas Cowboys, where he caught 7 passes for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. His ability to stretch the field and create mismatches made him a nightmare for every defense. The Vikings finished the season 11-5 and advanced to the NFC Championship game again. Moss had a relatively quiet postseason though, and the team suffered a 41-0 loss to the New York Giants. Moss's 3rd year solidified his place among the league's elite players. By 2001, he was established as the most feared wide receiver in the NFL. His ability to take over games remained unparalleled, but the Vikings struggled to find consistency as a team, finishing the season 5-11. Moss would have another great year with 82 receptions for 1,233 yards and 10 touchdowns, marking his 4th consecutive season with double-digit touchdown receptions. However, off the field, Moss began to show signs of frustration with the team's direction. His competitive fire sometimes spilled over into altercations with teammates and coaches, leading to questions about his leadership. Still, his production on the field remained unmatched, and his reputation as the NFL's top receiver was firmly intact. In 2002, Moss continued to deliver jaw-dropping performances, even as the Vikings endured another losing season. He led the league in receiving yards with 1,347 and added 7 touchdowns. His ability to dominate games single-handedly was on full display, even as the team finished the season 6-10. Moss's frustrations with the team's struggle began to show, but his individual brilliance ensured he remained a cornerstone of the franchise. In 2003, Moss delivered one of his most dominant seasons of his career. He was the focal point of the high-powered Minnesota offense that often relied on his ability to make impossible plays look routine. He would finish the year with 111 receptions, 1,632 yards, and 17 touchdowns, leading the NFL in receiving yards and touchdowns. Whether he was leaping over defenders, creating separation with speed, or making acrobatic catches, Moss was doing it all. One of his most memorable performances came in Week 6 against the Denver Broncos, where he recorded 10 receptions for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. While the Vikings started the season red hot, winning their first 6 games, inconsistency plagued them in the second half of the season, and they narrowly missed the playoffs with a 9-7 record. Moss was selected to his 5th Pro Bowl and named a first-team All-Pro. The 2004 season marked the final chapter of Moss's first stint with the Vikings, and it was a year filled with both challenges and iconic moments. Injuries limited Moss to just 13 games, the lowest total of his career at the time. Despite missing a significant amount of playing time, he still managed 49 receptions for 767 yards and 13 touchdowns. One of his most iconic moments from the season came during the wildcard round against the Green Bay Packers. Late in the game, Moss caught a 34-yard touchdown pass, then famously pretended to moon the Lambeau Field crowd, a gesture that sparked outrage and remains as one of the most talked about celebrations in NFL history. While controversial, the moment epitomizes Moss's larger-than-life personality and his ability to thrive on the biggest stages. The Vikings advanced to the divisional round where they fell to the Philadelphia Eagles. Off the field, tensions between Moss and the organization were at an all-time high. The team's struggles, combined with the questions about Moss's leadership and sometimes polarizing behavior, led the Vikings to explore trading their star receiver. Following the season, Minnesota made the decision to part ways with Moss, trading him to the Oakland Raiders in exchange for linebacker Napoleon Harris, a first-round pick, and a 7th-round pick. The trade marked the end of an era for the Vikings. During his 7 years in Minnesota, Moss recorded 574 receptions for 9,142 yards and 90 touchdowns, leaving as the franchise's all-time leader in receiving touchdowns. For Moss, the move to Oakland represented a new chapter, but his legacy in Minnesota as one of the greatest players in franchise history was already secure. When Moss was traded to the Oakland Raiders in 2005, expectations were high. The Raiders believed pairing Moss with quarterback Kerry Collins and head coach Norv Turner's vertical offense could rejuvenate the team and restore them to a playoff contender. While Moss arrived in Oakland with a fresh start, partnerships quickly turned sour, marking one of the most challenging periods of his career. In his first season with the Raiders, Moss showed glimpses of his brilliance but was hampered by nagging injuries, including a groin strain and a rib injury that limited his effectiveness. Despite the setbacks, he managed to record 60 receptions for 1,005 yards and 8 touchdowns. While the numbers would be impressive for most players, these were a noticeable decline for Moss, who had set such high standards early in his career. The Raiders struggled as a team, finishing with a 4-12 record. The offense was inconsistent, and Kerry Collins struggled to utilize Moss's deep threat abilities effectively. Moss's frustrations with the team's lack of direction began to surface. He publicly expressed disappointment with the Raiders' performance and questions the efforts of some teammates, a rare glimpse of the internal discord brewing within the organization. The 2006 season was even more disappointing for Moss. The Raiders finished with an abysmal 2-14 record, one of the worst seasons in franchise history. The team's offense was stagnant, ranking dead last in the league in both scoring and total yards. With inconsistent quarterback play, Moss became increasingly disengaged, and production plummeted. He recorded career lows in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. His body language on the field and comments off it reflected his dissatisfaction with the organization. At times, Moss appeared uninterested, and his frustration boiled over in interviews where he openly criticized the team's leadership and coaching. In one memorable interview, Moss admitted, "I'm not happy here. I'm not motivated, and it's a hard way to go out and play at a high level when you feel like this." His honesty only fueled speculation about his future with the team. Moss, once a centerpiece of a high-powered offense in Minnesota, now found himself on a dysfunctional team that failed to maximize his talents. By the spring of 2007, Randy Moss' once glittering career appeared to be on the decline. His 2 turbulent years with Oakland were marked by frustration, injuries, and underwhelming production. Critics pointed his declining statistics, perceived lack of effort on the field, and public expression as evidence that Moss was no longer the transcendent player who had once terrorized defenses. The sentiment around the league was clear. Moss was a high-risk acquisition. His reputation as a generational talent had been overshadowed by concerns about his commitment and ability to fit into a winning culture. By the 2007 NFL Draft, Moss's relationship with the Raiders had deteriorated to the point of no return, and Oakland was eager to move on. The New England Patriots, led by head coach Bill Belichick and quarterback Tom Brady, saw opportunities others didn't. Despite Moss's struggles, Belichick believed that in the right system, Moss could still thrive. In a low-risk, high-reward move, the Patriots traded a 4th-round pick to the Raiders to acquire Moss on April 29, 2007. It was a stunning deal as the Patriots landed one of the most talented receivers in NFL history for a bargain price. However, the trade was met with skepticism. Many doubted whether Moss could adapt to the Patriots' disciplined culture, especially under the no-nonsense leadership of Belichick. Others questioned whether he could perform at an elite level, given his age and recent struggles. Even Moss himself admitted that his confidence had been shaken during his time in Oakland. But the move to New England offered Moss a fresh start and a chance to rewrite the narrative of his career. I don't think many in the NFL were prepared for what kind of season Moss is about to have with Brady throwing to him.
Time. Here he is inside. You see he's the inside receiver. He just runs right.
After years of disappointment in Oakland, Moss found the perfect environment in New England. A team led by Belichick and the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. Together they formed an unstoppable combination that would rewrite NFL record books. From the very beginning of the season, it was clear that Moss was not only back, but better than ever. In Week 1 against the New York Jets, Moss announced his return to dominance with a breathtaking 9 catches for 183 yards and a touchdown. The Patriots stormed through the regular season, finishing with a perfect 16-0 record, the first team in NFL history to achieve an undefeated season since the 1972 Miami Dolphins. Moss played a central role in their dominance, as defenses struggled to contain his speed, size, and uncanny ability to win contested catches. Week after week, Moss delivered highlight reel plays that left fans and analysts in awe. One of the standout performances came in Week 11 against the Buffalo Bills, where he caught 4 touchdown passes in the first half. Brady's deep balls to Moss became a reoccurring nightmare for opposing secondaries, and the duo's connection was nearly impossible to stop. As the season progressed, Moss began to close in on Jerry Rice's single-season record of 22 touchdown receptions set in 1987. The chase ultimately accumulated in Week 17 in a primetime showdown against the New York Giants. With history on the line, Moss caught a 65-yard bomb from Brady in the 4th quarter, breaking Rice's record and giving Brady the single-season passing touchdown record at the same time. The play symbolized the magic of their partnership and the dominance of the Patriots' offense. Moss finished the 2007 regular season with 98 receptions, 1,493 yards, and an NFL record 23 touchdown receptions. His performance earned him unanimous first-team All-Pro honors and another Pro Bowl selection. It was a season for the ages, as Moss silenced all doubters and cemented his place as one of the greatest wide receivers in NFL history. But beyond the numbers, Moss's impact on the Patriots went far deeper. He gave New England an explosive element that complemented Brady's precision and Belichick's strategic brilliance. The 2007 Patriots weren't just great, they were historic, and Moss was a major factor in their dominance. As the team entered the postseason, the question wasn't whether the Patriots could win the Super Bowl, but whether anyone could stop them. For Moss, the playoffs represented an opportunity to complete his comeback story and add the one accolade missing from his legendary career, a championship ring. The Patriots began their playoff run in the divisional round against the Jacksonville Jaguars. In a hard-fought game, New England secured a 31-20 victory, advancing to the AFC Championship game. In that game, the Patriots faced the San Diego Chargers. Moss found himself double-teamed throughout the game, finishing with just one catch for 16 yards. But his presence opened opportunities for others, and the Patriots leaned on their balanced attack to grind out a 21-12 win, earning a trip to Super Bowl 42. The stage was set for a Super Bowl showdown between the undefeated Patriots and the NFC Championship New York Giants. The Patriots had entered the game as heavy favorites, while the Giants, led by quarterback Eli Manning and a ferocious defensive line, had other plans. From the opening snap, the Giants' defense dictated the game. Their pass rush relentlessly pressured Tom Brady, sacking him 5 times and forcing errant throws. The Patriots' high-powered offense, which had averaged nearly 37 points per game during the regular season, struggled to find its rhythm. Moss, who had been the focal point of New England's offense all year, was tightly covered by cornerback Corey Webster and consistently bracketed by safety help. Despite the defensive attention, Moss still managed to make a critical impact late in the game. With under 3 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter and the Patriots trailing 10-7, Brady connected with Moss on a 6-yard touchdown pass. The score gave New England a 14-10 lead and seemed to put the Patriots on the verge of perfection. But the Giants weren't finished. On the ensuing drive, Eli Manning orchestrated one of the most improbable game-winning drives in Super Bowl history. Facing a 3rd and 5 deep in their own territory, Manning miraculously escaped a near sack and launched a deep pass to David Tyree, who made the now legendary helmet catch, securing the ball against his helmet while surrounded by Patriots defenders. The play moved the Giants into Patriots territory and shifted the momentum of the game. Just a few plays later, with 35 seconds left on the clock, Manning found wide receiver Plexico Burress in the corner of the end zone, giving the Giants a 17-14 lead and leaving Brady and the Patriots with little time to respond. Brady's desperation heave on the final play fell incomplete, sealing one of the greatest upsets in Super Bowl history. The Giants had done the unthinkable, ending New England's pursuit of perfection. After the heartbreak of Super Bowl 42, Moss and the New England Patriots entered the 2008 season with hopes of redemption. The team retained much of its core from the record-breaking 2007 campaign. With Brady at the helm, they were posed for another deep playoff run. But the season would take a dramatic turn immediately.
Tom Brady took a tremendous hit as he released that ball right on his left side.
In Week 1, during the Patriots season opener against the Kansas City Chiefs, disaster struck. On New England's second offensive possession, Tom Brady suffered a devastating knee injury after a low hit from Chiefs safety Bernard Pollard. The hit resulted in a torn ACL and MCL in Brady's left knee, ending his season before it had truly began. With Brady's sideline, backup quarterback Matt Castle was thrust into the starting role. Castle, who hadn't started a game since college, faced the monumental task of leading the team that had gone 16-0 just a year earlier. Despite the setback, Moss remained a productive weapon in the Patriots offense. In 2008, he recorded 69 receptions for 1,008 yards and 11 touchdowns, leading the team in all major receiving categories. While his numbers were a significant drop-off from the previous year, they still place him among the league's top receivers. His ability to stretch the field and make contested catches gave Castle a reliable target as he adjusted to his new role. The Patriots finished the season with an 11-5 record, however, they would end up missing the playoffs due to tiebreakers. For Moss, the 2008 season was a test of adaptability. Without Brady, he proved he could still produce at the highest level, even in less than ideal circumstances. The 2009 season marked Tom Brady's return from injury, reigniting hope for New England. Moss quickly reconnected with Brady, recording 12 receptions for 141 yards in the season opener against the Buffalo Bills. He would continue to deliver throughout the season, finishing with 83 receptions for 1,264 yards and 13 touchdowns. Despite his own brilliance, the Patriots faced mid-season challenges, including road struggles and questions about consistency. In a Week 13 loss to the Miami Dolphins, Moss's own effort was criticized, sparking speculation about his commitment. The Patriots won the AFC East with a 10-6 record, but their season ended abruptly in the wildcard round with a 33-14 loss to the Baltimore Ravens. Moss was held to just 5 catches for 48 yards, unable to make the game-changing plays that the team needed. While the playoff exit was disappointing, Moss's 2009 season reaffirmed his place as one of the NFL's elite receivers. His league-leading 13 touchdown receptions marked the 6th time in his career that he reached double digits, solidifying his place among the greatest receivers of all time. Moss's final seasons in the NFL were a mix of brief returns, transitions, and a chance to contribute to competitive teams, though they lacked the dominant impact of his early years. After a tumultuous 2010 season where he was traded twice, first from the Patriots to the Vikings and then to the Tennessee Titans, Moss retired the following season. His brief return to Minnesota brought nostalgia but little success, as the Vikings struggled and Moss's frustrations with the coaching staff led to his release. With the Titans, Moss saw limited action, finishing the season with a career-low 28 catches for 393 yards and 5 touchdowns. After sitting out the entire 2011 season, Moss announced his return to the NFL in 2012, signing with the San Francisco 49ers. At 35 years old, he joined a team that was on the rise under head coach Jim Harbaugh and young quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Moss was no longer the focal point of the offense, but served as a veteran presence and a deep threat in a supporting role. He finished the season with 28 receptions for 434 yards and 3 touchdowns. Though his production was modest by his standards, Moss played a key role in helping the 49ers reach Super Bowl 47. Moss caught 2 passes for 41 yards in a losing effort, as the 49ers fell 34-31 in a hard-fought game. While Moss didn't secure the championship he long desired, his presence on the field and contributions to the 49ers' success showed his enduring value as a player. Following the 2012 season, Moss officially retired from the NFL. His 14-year career left an indelible mark on the league, defined by jaw-dropping highlights, record-breaking seasons, and a style of play that redefined the wide receiver position. In 2018, Moss received the ultimate recognition of his career when he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. As a first-ballot inductee, Moss's enshrinement celebrated his record-breaking achievements, electrifying playstyle, and profounding impact on the wide receiver position. His legacy as one of the greatest receivers in NFL history was firmly cemented, and his influence on the game continued to resonate with players and fans alike. What is your favorite moment of Randy Moss's career? Let me know in the comments below.